From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Hey, good morning, Bullhorn Betty. It's nice to see everybody. It's very, very, very early this morning. I've been up for some time. Many of you know I have my beautiful Delilah, and she needs to go out early in the mornings. So I figured I would go through some news with you guys this morning. And this is going to be going through several different news clips, and then we'll get over to Sebastian Rogers, the 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home. I'm Bullhorn Betty. I cover true crime, but I also cover other things. Like right now, this was an article that came out a couple days ago, and I wasn't going to say anything about it, but then I started reading into it. I started realizing there's like 137 people in the area that are losing their homes due to this PACE scam. And it's not really a scam. They're actually an authorized I guess rehabber, you know, that but the problem is the payments when you rehab your home and say get a new air conditioning, new windows or something like that. Well, these payments go on your taxes. They're not like a second mortgage or a home equity line of credit. These payments are going directly onto your tax bill. So when you can't pay your tax bill because it balloons, for example, this particular homeowner's tax bill was right around $500 a year, and it ballooned to $2,500. They could not pay their tax bill. Obviously, the clerk of courts sold their property and they lost their home. A lot of people are dealing with this. So be very careful because people aren't understanding what they're signing and how it's going to affect them. And in this particular case, they lost their home along with several other people. Pasco County has canceled their contract with the Florida PACE program, but it's still happening in a lot of other places. So just be careful what you sign when you are trying to repair your home. Another little tidbit of information, sorry about that. Another tidbit of information is this councilman right here. That was Ellen Greenberg. That was a rendering. We're not talking about Ellen Greenberg in this episode. We will come back to that at another time. However, this D.C. council member, this is Trayon White, and he was arrested by the FBI. But here's the kicker. Nobody really knows why he was arrested. It's been very tight-lipped. Apparently, Washington, D.C. is under investigation right now, and nobody was aware of it. Now, Mr. White here was actually had a lot of anti-Semitic type of language, and he kind of had this crackpot belief that Israel was somehow controlling the climate. It was like, it's some really wild bizarre stuff he was saying. But again, nobody really knows why he was arrested in the first place. So this is going to be interesting. You may be wanting to watch this. This is, again, a councilman in Washington, D.C. His name is Trayon White. And right now, everything's been tight-lipped. So I have no idea what his formal charges are or will be here in the near future. Now, there's something that was really scary that was going on in New York, and there was a family, and this is an unclear story as well. So this particular family, there's a family of 7 that live in Queens, New York, and apparently 3 armed intruders came into their house. A lady with her baby ran out and flagged down law enforcement, and these intruders ended up taking a large sum of money and went out the window. And I don't know if they've been arrested. I can't recall. I've read a lot of articles this morning. But this is some scary stuff. Think about it. And it's tight-lipped. Nobody really knows the motive behind these robbers. And they took a lot of cash out of the home. So, you know, it leaves it up for interpretation here that there may be some unsavory things going on inside that home. But we don't know what it is. Now, a little bit on the celebrity side of the news. Many of you guys know about Michael. Michael, if you guys watched Blindside, you will know that Michael was like he was 18 years old when he was adopted. He was struggling going into school and stuff like that. And these 2 folks took him in. And now all of a sudden there's some controversy surrounding the Blindside movie. Predominantly them saying that when he went into the NFL, people were looking at him funny, wanting to know if he could even read a playbook. That it really demeaned his character as almost being, I guess, stupid in a sense. He said that he was very vulnerable at the time when he was told that Sean and Leanne Toohey loved him. And it just seems like there was a major turn in this family that appeared to have so much going on for them at one point in time. And I'm sure many of you guys remember the Blindside, but in an interview the New York Times Magazine published on Sunday, August 18, over a year after he first filed the suit, the NFL alumni recalled his first time living with the wealthy Memphis-based family, and why, despite what 2009 film portrays, he feels like they deceived him. For the first time I've heard "I love you," it was Sean and Leanne Toohey saying it. "When I was 18, you become vulnerable," he told the magazine. "You let your guard down, and then you get everything stripped from you. It turns into hurt feelings." After a brief pause, he continued, "I don't want to make it about race, but what I found out is nobody says 'I love you' more than coaches and white people. When black people say it, they mean it." So it sounds like there's a lot of hurt feelings going on, in this particular case. We're going to go over to a little bit sad, a much sadder case. And this is Ariel Garcia. He is no longer beautiful little boy. This is really bad because his mom reported her son missing, and he wasn't missing. She unalived him. Give me just a second. Let me pull up the article. And this happened some time ago, earlier this year, just a few months ago, where this woman, Janet, called in her child missing, and then several hours later found him on the side of the road deceased. And she was immediately and promptly arrested. And she doesn't, I gotta tell you, when she was arrested, she looks like a punk. I'm sorry, she does. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hold on, let me take my background off. I didn't even take a picture of this. But she seems like a punk to me. She's in this green suit. She's got these dead eyes. She's just a horrible individual. And she tried to cover up. a crime. Janet Garcia is facing first-degree murder charges, pled not guilty Monday for killing her 4-year-old son, Ariel, whose body was found. And this is the very, very disturbing part of it, with 41, stab wounds. I don't know if I can say that on here. I'm sure I can, but I don't know. The charging documents obtained. How can a little 4-year-old be so bad that the child endures that? And the thought that she was going to actually get away with it is, again, highly disturbing. But there have been some changes in this particular case, and we'll see where this case goes. But this is another case that we did not hear about or did not cover. And this happened back in April. It is really, really sad that, well, this actually happened in March, but she was obviously arrested and went through some of her court hearings back in April. I don't know what's going to go on, but she's probably going away for a long time. It doesn't matter. Even mental health, I don't think, is going to be able to explain that away. And then this right here, I can't really put up the article because this is the man that's accused right here in Florida. He just recently had his nursing license stripped. He was an RN, and he was in the care of some teenage children, 12, I think it was 12 to 16. And as you can imagine why he's in a jumper, it is alleged that he raped this girl multiple times. And she finally told somebody, and this is the man that was charged. The articles did not have his face in there. And, it's really sad because I wanted to know who this monster was and why they would not be putting this man's face all over the internet to make sure that he does not have additional victims out there in Florida or otherwise. And if you've seen this man and your child has been around him, you may need to talk to your child. He is, let me see I can't remember what his name is. I don't even know if they put it in here. Yes, they did. John Gene Lewis. And they finally took it took a long time because his arrest was in June, and they finally removed his license from Florida and suspended it August 2nd, 57 days after his arrest, which is a little weird. This guy has already posted a $250,000 bond and gets to stay home in the comfort of his house while he awaits trial. But hey, you know what? At least Florida's arresting these people, right? I mean, it's not like Tennessee, where as long as you hide the body really well, you don't have to ever face repercussions, right? And that's the case of Sebastian Rogers, which is a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, where he was sleeping in the house with only his mother because his father, his Chris Proudfoot, allegedly was 3.5 hours away in Mississippi near his job in Memphis at the St. Jude's Hospital. It's my understanding Chris has not been allowed back on that property since this situation has happened, which I thought was a weird a weird change. You don't hear companies typically not use your services when you have a major life event going on. They usually talk to you and ask you if you can handle everything. You usually say yes or no, or I need a few, time off and what have you. But our understanding is they told him not to come back until this situation is cleared up. So there's just a lot of really hinky things going on when it comes to Katie and Christopher Proudfoot. Their stories have been changing, forever changing. I think we're up to, like, if we took all of the changes in their story from the beginning to what we know today, I bet you we would have 20 or more different stories that they have provided on what happened the day before he went missing up to the day that he went missing. It's been very, very difficult because we've caught them in so many with so many dishonest answers. It's hard to discern which answers they're they're truthful about and which ones that they're lying about. Sad they still haven't found anything. And there's a lot of statements Chris had said in the past, and a lot of those were, this is a case that will be studied for years to come, as if he's almost gloating that he helped commit the perfect crime. It's just a very eerie statement from a man, but that's one of many eerie statements from a man that allegedly loves his stepson and his stepson is missing. It doesn't make any sense. Katie Proudfoot was the only person inside the home with Sebastian Rogers, allegedly, according to all the statements that she and Chris have provided law enforcement. He went to bed at 9 p.m. The house was secure. The doors were all locked. The windows were all locked. And when she woke up at 6 a.m., he was nowhere to be found. And within 3 minutes, she knew something was wrong, but instead of calling law enforcement, she calls her husband. And it's just, it comes on the heels of her having a 3-hour conversation with him the night before she went to bed. So he was the last person she spoke to the night before Sebastian disappeared, and the first person she spoke to when Sebastian disappeared. But we also heard statements from up to 6 individuals that state that they saw her mother-in-law, Kathy Bowersox, at the Worsham's General Store, which is directly across the street from her son's high school, about 15 minutes before Katie allegedly even knew her son was missing. So we have a lot of questions when it comes to Sebastian Rogers, and we're constantly asking, where is Sebastian Rogers? Because some of the cryptic messages Chris has stated publicly leads me and many others to believe something gravely happened to Sebastian Rogers, and that Chris and Katie, of all people, know what that may be. I'm very skeptical of this woman. I'm very skeptical of her statements. I'm very skeptical of why they're very wishy-washy on whether there was cameras in or around the home, other than the neighbors. It seems like they didn't know how to answer those questions. Why does she struggle with simple questions like, if Sebastian's watching, what would you like to say to him? Why is it a struggle for her to spit something out of her mouth when she's talking to her son that she hadn't seen at this point in 20 days? Seth, don't talk to him as much as I'd like to. The last time I talked to him, he's keeping it together the best he can keep it together. He struggles every single day because he believes his son is alive. But I have to think, with all that hope that a person can muster, that hope's got to dwindle after 6 months, whether he's saying it or not. We have to believe that he's trying to have hope, but he's also a reasonable person, and he knows something seriously isn't right. But all we can do for him is pray for him. And you know what? If you have the ability, there's going to be a prayer vigil for his son in Clarksville. There's signs everywhere. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'll tell you guys exactly where it is. Give me just a second. I've got it in my photos. I know I have it in my photos. Let's hope. Where is it? Alright, let me get back to the library. Must have done a lot more work than I thought I did since I received it. No. Okay, let me download it to my phone again. I know I've got it right here. And then we're going to talk about something else as well. Aw, there it is. Okay, let me get this downloaded. So this rescue ride, why won't won't let me save anything in my photos anymore. It drives me nuts. I must have too much stuff in my photos. That's the only thing I can think of. All right, so the rescue ride is August 24th at 2 p.m. It says, Sebastian absolutely loves animal. Join us as we give back to Michaela's Mutt Motel, a veteran-owned and operated dog rescue in Clarksville. $25 donation per ride, which will include custom t-shirt, a bracelet, and a meal following the vigil. Motorcycles and all vehicles welcome. 100% of all proceeds will go to Michaela's Mutt Motel. The benefit ride starts at 2 p.m. at the Fallon Brewery, and that's at 1761 Jardco Drive. It's Jardco Drive in Clarksville, Tennessee. Kickstand up at 3 p.m. The prayer vigil following the ride will be at 5 p.m. The Fallen Brewery at 1761 Jardco Drive, Clarksville, Tennessee. Food and drinks following. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's how you can show your love and support for, I don't know if you can see that. Let me put it in front of me. For Sebastian Rogers. It's not going to, because I got the green screen on and it's green because his favorite color is green, right? But, you know, the other thing we're looking into is obviously Chris Proudfoot. We're digging back into his life to find out who he was as a child, how he conducted himself and everything like that. We're just reeling. Again, we just want to know what happened to Sebastian Rogers. And it seems like the people that hold the key to the answers that law enforcement, Seth, and the public would like to know are Chris and Katie Proudfoot. And there are many, many, many changes in their story. It really upsets me as well that Nick Barris has been so irresponsible to say on multiple occasions that Chris and Katie have been cleared or are not suspects. That is the most untrue statement I have ever heard. Everybody right now that was in and around this boy's life is absolutely a suspect, including his father that has an airtight alibi on where he was when his son disappeared. Chris and Katie, their alibi is I was sleeping. Not a very good alibi after a 3-hour conversation that you're trying to convince the world that Katie was able to, have a conversation, study for her class for DeVry, fall asleep on the couch, be woke up, and somehow in this whole confusion of why she was on the phone with her husband for 3 hours while she's sleeping and studying, and why didn't he hear this thud that she allegedly heard around 10 p.m. that night, which would have been 13 minutes into her conversation with Christopher Proudfoot. A lot of unanswered questions that they will never answer because they keep asking the public to give them the tough questions, but when we ask them very simple and basic questions, they can't seem to answer them. And then when they are called out on their nonsense, they go into hiding. This is another situation that's going on right now where they're trying to say and pass around. First of all, they were passing around bunk screenshots for me. Nobody has or is in my account to get screenshots first and foremost. Secondly, we know that Chris and Katie, I just want to explain and express what Katie and the Bauer Sox have basically stated as their cause of action for these bunk protective orders. They stated that they were being harassed and stalked by me, which is untrue. I've only been in their community one time for 2 or 3 days, and it was for filming purposes. They stated that I am a rioter. I have never been in a riot nor been associated with any riots in my life. The only riot I ever saw personally was on TV, and it was the Summer of Love when the officer or when the news guy was saying, this is mostly a peaceful protest as a burning car is flying behind him, on the screen. That is the only thing I've ever seen as far as a riot. They stated that I have asked my audience to also stalk them. You guys have never heard me say that. So clearly they have no problem lying under oath. And then you have a troll account, most likely associated with JLR, saying that he's friends with the Bowersox. No name. Like, who is this person? And just some random person could go and write and think about it, a private Facebook group, right? So that means he was accepted in that private Facebook group. I wonder how long this account has been, but we know all the many troll accounts that man does have, and he's trying to express that I'm getting charges definitely pressed against me for stalking and harassment. There has to be a pattern. There is no pattern. They're trying to say that because Tony bought me a steak while I was there when I was going to Jonathan's to eat, that's somehow a payment for harassment, a $50 steak. Okay, this is insanity. These people are literally, they have no souls. They're completely evil. And I can guarantee you there is absolutely no charges being pressed against somebody without a scintilla of fact or evidence, because there is none. So if you guys are hearing this nonsense, unsubscribe from these people. They're in this for drama, not for the truth about Sebastian Rogers. And why is people so hell-bent on trying to destroy this benefit that's going to a good cause to help animals? It doesn't make sense why people are fighting so hard to hurt Seth, a father of a missing boy, the only person out there trying to help find his son, while the two people that are responsible for that child's disappearance are sitting in hiding, and nobody is saying boo about them. That seems a little fishy in and of itself to me, if you ask me. How did they know you eating with Tony if they weren't following you? I wasn't eating with Tony. I was on a live, and it was that's the day Terry Bowersox stalked me for a half an hour, and I got out and caught him on camera following me and answering, why is he following me? And he basically told me, I'm not stalking you, prove it. And I'm like, what do you think I'm doing, a-hole? And so I was going over to Jonathan's to eat a steak. And so when I got into the restaurant, there was two people that sent me $50 for a steak. I only purchased one steak, obviously, but I got, that's what it was over. And it was after that event, but I was going to Jonathan's before that situation even occurred. So, it's just crazy BS. That's what it is. Did you know a Bowersox worked for NASA? Well, I can tell you that they seem to have friends, or appear to have friends, in some high places. This is why Seth, in my opinion, doesn't trust law enforcement, because they won't satisfy his mind whether there are a Proudfoot or a Bowersox or family associations that work inside their department. Don't you think a father of a missing child should know that? And why would you work so hard to hide that information from a father when a mother and a stepfather have lost a child? That aspect of stuff should be ultra transparent, in my opinion. As far as the $50, you have done worse for less. I don't get paid for the stuff I do, okay? I just want to let you know. Paid? What do you mean? You've done far less? I don't get paid, so everything I've done is for less pay than $50 steak. Jeez Louise, I don't stalk people. These are public cases. I'm allowed to cover public cases. You got frickin' Vinnie Politan outside of the house with his frickin' standing in the street talking in front of the house he's talking about. How do you think he does that? It's lawful. It's illegal. You can do that. I doubt driving by a house 2 or 3 times constitutes harassment or stalking, especially when it's for filming purposes. I have a legitimate purpose for being there on public roadway. Oh, good gracious. Go away, lady. You've got some mental issues. You got some mental issues. Make sure you're blocked. No, yeah, you're blocked. I know. That's what I said, Becky. Go away. I'll chip in for Betty's lawsuit if it comes back. Back off, Karen. Well, you know what? We've already hired an attorney for this nonsense that Chris and Katie and the Bauer Sox have started, but it's malicious prosecution, so I'm hoping that I can get it on the back end of it. But if you guys are more than welcome to contribute on my Cash App, it's at the $ and I think it's Starbaby2ALG. And the rest of them, PayPal and Venmo is Bullhorn Betty. But yeah, private account, no picture. Well, they're blocked now. It doesn't really matter. They can create a new account. Thank you. I do appreciate it. But if you guys want to, I mean, there is over on my YouTube channel. I don't know if I've got it set up on here, but yes, a good Samaritan did pay for my my illegal expenses, but I'd like to try to get as much of that back to that person as possible, you know, because it's not their problem, it's mine, but it's created by people willing to lie. So I just appreciate it, you know, appreciate all the help. It's been a whirlwind this year, but that's okay. We'll of all people that's going to make it through it just fine, it would be us, you know. Thank you guys. Thank you, Lois. God bless you guys for that. All right, so that was the round out for this morning. Have a happy Manic Monday. Get up, get dressed, go enjoy the week, right? I mean, look at all the stuff that we covered, and we should feel blessed that it's not us that's being covered on these channels, right? It's not us. We're you know, for the most part, we may have some problems, but our problems aren't missing or deceased family members. You know, we at least are blessed in that respect. So no matter how rough life seems to be for you, just remember it could be a lot worse, and be thankful that it's not, right? That crappy job you got to get up and go deal with, you should do it with a smile on your face today, you know? So God bless you. Go make it a great week. And we'll chat soon, right? We'll chat soon. The day is early, so we're going to keep rocking it out with our coffee beans out. God bless.